So what would this game be without multiple different aggro decks? And that's exactly what we're going to go over today. We already went ahead and made a video on the kind of Elise, fearsome, spider aggro type deck. Link will be in the description below and a card right there. I always forget which side to point. It's opposite that one up there. This one is discard aggro, and very much a thing once again. Super excited too because discard aggro is one of the more fun ways to play aggro. It's similar to casino. You know, you're just going crazy, discarding your hand, playing cards, drawing cards. It's pretty fun. So if you're looking for not only a way to ladder quickly, but also a fun way to do it, you are in the right spot. This is definitely a competitive, aggressive deck. So stick around. We're going to go through the deck itself, followed by 2 games. As always, my name is Justin, also known as Shit Just Works, and you're in the right spot for Legends of Runeterra content. So before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button if you do enjoy the video and like aggressive decks in general. And without further ado, let's get into this discard aggro deck. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have Poro Cannon in a deck, and it actually makes this deck better, okay? I love seeing Poros, I love seeing Teemo in meme decks, but it's even better when they're actually in some pretty competitive decks. So with that said, let's get into it. We got Poro Cannon. If you guys don't know what the new Poro Cannon does, to play it, you discard 1, and it's at burst speed for 0, which is very important. And then you get 2 elusive Poros, which is Daring Poro. Now, the reason why this matters is because it doesn't seem that great, you know, it's a 1/1 Poro, but it's elusive, and that is guaranteed damage that you're going to get through most of the time. Or, if it's not guaranteed damage, it means you're having your opponent waste resources on removing a 1/1 unit, which is not necessarily bad. Especially when you consider comboing it with things like Vision, which we are playing 3 of. Suddenly, your board of 2 elusive Poros, possibly more, gets a lot stronger, even at 2 attack. Even just 1 Vision on these Poros means you're doing 4 damage with 2 elusive Poros, which is really good. I mean, if you're doing 4 damage in 1 turn with this deck, then you are setting yourself up for success. So, on top of that, all the usual discard stuff. You see the 3 Jury Rig. I mean, this is maxed out. This is balls to the wall, all discard aggro all day. You got the 3 Jury Rig, you got the 3 Flame Chompers, you got the 3 Zonai Urchin, which, due to the recent change, so instead of it having a last breath effect, which draws you the card after you play the card to discard, or sorry, after you discard the card to play it, you just discard a card to draw 1 card immediately when playing it, which makes this significantly better as far as managing your hand. And that's one of the things that Poro Cannon combined with the update to Zonai Urchin does, is it creates a lot more situations where you're able to reliably level Jinx and reliably get things off like Vision, like Get Excited. It just smooths out your game plan a little bit, whereas previously in discard aggro decks you might not have been able to reliably level Jinx or just reliably really play the cards in the way that you want to play them from your hand. So Flame Chompers, awesome addition to this deck. Obviously, if your opponent does have an elusive unit, guess what? You're pulling it with Flame Chompers so that your Daring Poros can go ahead and get their attacks through. Or if, this is very important, especially with the change to Boom Crew Riki going down to 3 health, a lot of times Boom Crew Riki can be blocked and killed on the first attack. Getting 2 Boom Crew Riki triggers off is still incredibly important and incredibly good for this deck. So, if you Flame Chompers a unit and are able to get a Boom Crew Rookie effect off without it being blocked, that is incredibly good as well. So, always consider that when you are thinking about attacking with Boom Crew, or in this case, even Legion Saboteur. And then Jury Rig, same deal. It just provides more stuff for Vision to buff and just allows it so you can go wider and a little bit faster. At the end of the day, that's what this deck wants to do, is it wants to go wide and it wants to go face. And then obviously we get the Augmented Experimenter to kind of round out the top end of the curve. If you do run out of steam, you got 3 of those bad boys in the deck to continue to draw some cards. As well as Rummage, obviously. Rummage. Who? Can't forget Rummage. It's like the best draw card for this deck ever. But without further ado, let's get into the 2 games now of this discard aggro deck. I think one is versus Ezreal TF, and the other is actually a mirror match. First one's going to be a mirror match, so let's get into it. All right, so we have ourselves a mirror match here, and this is probably a match you'll stumble upon. I feel like discard aggro is not exactly rare. There are a few people running it, but I think a lot of the like Diana Nocturne aggro and stuff is a little bit more prevalent right now, so you might not see this often. But anyways, Zaunite Urchin as a 1-drop in this deck is absolutely fantastic. I actually, thinking of this now, like you see, I probably should have went with the Jury Rig. I would have pushed some more damage, but I'm thinking, okay, he's playing a discard aggro. He might have a 1-drop after I go ahead and play the Zaunite Urchin, so I'm going to throw the Flame Chompers out there. Unfortunately, he did not. He had his own Jury Rig to go ahead and block the 2 damage. So good move on my opponent's part. In this matchup, you obviously want to just be taking the least amount of damage as possible. So right as I say that, I actually take, what was that, 4 damage to the face. So the thing is, you also want to be doing I know this seems really stupid, right? You don't want to take any damage, and you want to do the most damage possible, right? Like, duh, okay. But in that case, having the Flame Chompers for an attack to actually pull this Boom Crew makes a lot more sense for a couple reasons, and obviously saving my Saboteur because it'll do 2 more damage. So you can see here I actually get a Mystic Shot out onto my Boom Crew, because otherwise my opponent would have taken 2 more damage. He would not have been able to kill my Boom Crew. I actually prefer to use the Mystic Shot for a few reasons. That's 1 less burn spell, and it's more resources that my opponent has in their hand. So now they've pigeonholed themselves into needing an Augmented Experimenter or a Jinx. So I know, okay, if my opponent gets a Jinx on the board, I just am killing it. I'm killing it 100% of the time, no matter what. In this case, again, I actually don't want to take as much damage as possible. I want to kill that Boom Crew rookie. I do thankfully have another Jinx as backup too. Getting the first Jinx down is also super important. Right here is absolutely amazing. Being able to level the Jinx here, the new change to Rummage, being able to only discard 1 versus 2, I promise you that will come up a lot, and that's exactly what we see happen here. I'm able to go ahead and only discard 1, still get the Jinx level up, and again, having the first leveled Jinx on the field is super important. My opponent, will probably go ahead and level the Jinx now, but I still have a way to kill it. And see, there it is. There's the Augmented Experimenter. So what I was talking about with my opponent basically pigeonholing themselves into needing Augmented Experimenter and Jinx, well, here it is. They got both of them, but now I can still go ahead and remove this Jinx. Having my Jinx on the board and them not having their Jinx is a huge advantage because I will still be able to draw more cards. Also, opting to get rid of the Augmented Experimenter. So I think actually I totally screwed that up, I think. I could have played the Augmented Experimenter to kill the Jinx and discard my hand and draw 3. I would have had a lot more cards in hand and probably would have just wrecked the game. Maybe I was thinking just do more damage with the Legion Saboteur. I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that was a misplay there. So instead I decided to discard the Augmented Experimenter. I do still end up winning the game, so I guess you could argue both ways, but we have the Jinx on board. Again, as long as we have the Jinx, I don't think it'll really matter. We can go ahead and burst speed, discard the Jury Rig, have another attacker, get the Super Mega Death Rocket, which at this point, with how wide I am, plus the Legion Saboteur effect, I will be able to just deal enough damage for game. He is able to get the additional blocker out by discarding the Flame Chompers. And even, and even Whirling Death, my Jinx there. Whirling Death, not usually something that you want to be using if you have a second Draven in hand. Usually makes sense to go ahead and play the second Draven. But, hey, in this case, it did actually work out for him. We see the Super Mega Death Rocket come out, and then we just basically just top deck the Mystic Shot for the game. So something we do have to take into consideration, as you saw a lot here, is the burst speed discards now. There's a lot of different interactions, especially with Jinx leveling, where, you might want to bait out some sort of 3 damage removal spell onto your Jinx, and then burst speed level up the Jinx. That way the Jinx still survives. You get mega advantage off of that, especially if the Jinx lives to draw you 2 the following turn, or at the very least, you bait out some more removal from your opponent. So, and now that you have the Poro Cannon as an additional burst spell discard in additional Rummage, oh man, it just feels so good having that card in this deck. So, again, you can see the Zaunite on not turn 1, but turn 2, basically giving us a huge hugely wide board super early here on turn 1, bringing our opponent down to 13 super early. That basically, like, that's in the bag. The reason why is because we're playing against a mono Bilgewater deck. Not exactly sure how this game goes. I thought it was an Ezreal. Is it an Ezreal TF? No, it's just a TF. So I thought it was an Ezreal TF. It's a mono Bilgewater. Either way, there's no heal. So I know that 13 damage will be sticking onto my opponent's Nexus. And that means I only need to do 13 more damage, which with a Jinx on board and to get excited in hand, yeah, pretty sure we got this. We also had the 2 Rummage to guarantee that we're leveling the Jinx this turn. Let me tell you, a leveled Jinx on turn 4, holy crap. Not only is it possible with this deck, but it's insanely good. We are going to be able, we can already see here with the 2 Mystic Shot, we're going to be on, what is that, 6 mana next turn. If I draw a 2 mana thing, yep, there's the flame, or well, actually I draw 2 cards, so never mind. Not going to be able to discard my entire hand. Actually, wait. No, I can only discard 1 with the Spinning Axe. So we are going to take it all to the face because obviously we don't want to lose our Jinx here. We do get the Spinning Axe, which will allow us to discard a card. I think, so this is, I don't want to say it's a misplay on the part of my opponent, but I could have, I actually think I misplayed again. I could have actually discarded the Flame Chompers with the Axe there and Mystic Shot at the end of the turn to get a Flame, or, to get a Super Mega Death Rocket. I think I had the 3 mana to do that. So, and it's crazy too, looking at these games after the fact, you see how many different lines of play there are. Like, I probably wasn't thinking that during the game, or the other supposed misplay I mentioned in the first game where I should have augmented Experimenter. There's so many different lines to basically, essentially what you're doing is just discarding your hand to win the game. And there's a lot of different ways to do it with how this game, or how this deck is built now. I mean, you can see again, we have 2 other discards in our hand. So I do go for the get excited on face, because now at this point, I know as long as I get the Super Mega Death Rocket, I pretty much win with the Mystic Shot and get excited. So although my Jinx is dying, I am still able to burst speed, discard the Jury Rig. I get the removal off from my opponent and still win the game. All right, everybody, that's Discard Aggro, and again, super fun deck. I wouldn't say it's the best aggro deck there is right now. Fearsome is a hell of a good archetype, but it's definitely up there as far as competitive aggro decks are concerned. And as far as fun level, probably the most fun aggro deck right now. So, as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.